Hello, welcome to Mental Hellness. I am super excited to be chatting with Dan Curtis Thompson today. Dan is a comedian, he's a writer, he's an actor. He basically does it all. He is also on the roster for Absolute in Ontario for Absolute comedy clubs. He produces and hosts his own comedy shows in the city, including Fresh Start, Toronto that is, Fresh Start and Comedy Tonight. Dan is super witty, he's charming, and I like him very much. And I'm so glad and lucky that he decided to chat with us today. Let's let him in. Dan. Hello. He's connecting his audio.
Hey.
Yay! Okay, so here's what happened. How are you? First of all,
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, but this is so new for me. And I opened the meeting about 2 or 3 times and it said nobody was there. And then I panicked and then I realized that this isn't actually live. So even though I was scared.
Yeah, this could be edited out. I have a feeling.
I was scared. I was looking at my camera like, I can't let him in. I can't let him in. People are waiting. Oh, wait.
Yeah, no one's waiting.
No
the
one's
only
waiting.
one that was waiting was me. Yeah.
Right. And you know what? That's not that important.
That's not that important. Who cares?
Okay. So we sorted it out and I'm so glad to see you. It's been so long.
It's nice to see your face. Yeah.
You
How
too.
are you?
You know what? I'm doing really well. And I'm really excited to put this little series of conversations together because as I've been saying to other people that I've been chatting with is that it's time that we made fun a little bit of mental illness, because I think there are lots of opportunities to talk a little bit more seriously and in depth, but I think it's okay to just have some fun with it too. And just,
why not?
You know what? Because then we can relate to each other. I think everybody's dealing with their own brand of crazy. And, why not talk about that a little bit? So that's really what I'm trying to accomplish. So
yeah. I think that's great. I mean, there's a lot of good in bringing a bit of light into a dark area. It makes it a little bit brighter.
I think so.
And as well if you the things that you can kind of poke fun at with your own things makes it a little bit easier to manage your own things. Makes it a little bit that makes them a little bit less intimidating if you can kind of laugh at the monster behind them.
Yeah, it's true. I think it's a superpower for sure to be able to
Absolutely
take some of that power away from the voice that is often, trying to run the show, if you will.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. Oh yeah.
I always think my anxiety has the car keys. The days, that it's really out of control and I've got to wrestle those keys away. So whether it's my anxiety or my depression. But how have you been? How have these 4 months been treating you with this COVID madness?
Well, I can never find my car keys
okay.
at all.
At the best of times? Okay.
Yeah, I wish it was my anxiety that had them and I'd be able to figure it out a lot quicker. I'm always like 5 minutes behind leaving the house. I've been okay for the most part. I've been staying at my grandmother's house. That's why there's like ancient relics behind me.
I was going to say it's interesting taste. I like it. It's retro.
Yeah, very. It's like this is an organ from 1886 or something. It's like a real antique.
Wow.
Yeah, and
you have a value on that?
Oh, I'm sure there's like some value, but like it doesn't work, so that probably brings down the value too. It's just a dust collector at this point.
Right.
But I've been staying here because my grandmother obviously is older in age, and so being more susceptible to the virus going on, she went back to Belleville with my mom and dad, where there's it's a small town, less people to be worried about. Plus, my parents can kind of check in on her without any worry because they're always together.
Yeah.
And I figured, well, because her place is just here at Victoria Park in Danforth, so it's in Toronto.
Nice. Yep.
And I was like, well, I'm in a basement apartment. I could have just a house to myself. Why not do that? So so I've just been kind of keeping this place well maintained while she's away, and enjoying sunlight for the first. I've been living in a basement apartment for 6 years now.
Oh,
I
really?
had no idea. This is such a dumb thing to say, but I had no idea how much sunlight can really affect your mood. I have a pep in my step. It's great.
A pep in your step.
Yeah. Yeah. Who knew
It,
that was
it,
going to happen?
but you know what? It's true though. There's a lot of people that are susceptible to, seasonal affective disorder, and even just the
Yeah.
lack of sunlight, for sure. I can't even imagine living in a basement apartment. It's bad enough for me on a cloudy day. So to
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
no natural sunlight would be like a horror show for me.
Yeah, I mean, like I have a window in my basement, but it's facing the alley where there's another house, so like I get a room with a view, you know. Uh,
Nice.
but this is great. I mean, there's a park right across the street, and not that I really go to it very much, but I look at it, which is fine.
And looking
Yeah,
at it is fine. That's half the battle, Dan.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
I
you
think
don't have
so.
to actually go there as long as you can visualize it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So my mental health has been better in 2020, which is a weird thing to say
Okay.
because 2020 is a nightmare year, but I actually started on antidepressants for the very first time in December.
Oh, do tell. Do you want to share?
Yeah,
You want
I
to
would love to. Yeah,
share? Okay.
okay. So I took a pill called Zoloft back when I
Hmm.
was 18, 17, 18, something like that, and I hated them. They made me just feel like kind of not bad, but not I felt like I couldn't feel good either. So it's
Right.
just kind of like in this kind of not quite content state
Mhm.
permanently, and I drove me nuts. I hated it. Plus there's like side effects, like I would get kind of dizzy and stuff, so I quit them. As well as when I was a kid, I had ADHD, and they put me on Ritalin,
Oh.
and I felt like that just numbed my personality. So I guess after the second time of taking pills, first Ritalin, then Zoloft, I kind of was like, they don't work for me. I don't like them. Maybe they work for some people, but I don't like them. And then especially getting into comedy, I was like very apprehensive of trying anything like that because it. And you know what? There's this whole idea of I think we as artists we romanticize the tortured artist. Which
Right.
is real. I think real problematic. You know, we torture. We love the idea of this person who's so sad, and that's where all the art comes from. That's where all the beauty comes from. That's where all the funny jokes come from, and
Mhm.
it's kind of bullshit because I'm feeling good right now. I remember what it's like to be sad, so like why don't I just remember instead of feel, you know?
Right.
Uh, and I was the last few years were just a roller coaster of mental health for me.
Mhm.
I hit a real low in the past I'd say the past 2 years, so
Mhm.
2018, 2019, of anxiety attacks after
Mhm.
anxiety attacks. I felt like I know it's maybe not the best thing to say, but I felt like a crazy person. I felt
It's
like,
totally okay to say that.
yeah, okay,
I think
because
so.
I felt legitimately insane, and I was with someone at the time who I don't think quite they're a very sweet person. I'm not going to talk badly about them, but they didn't quite get what an anxiety attack or at least my kind of anxiety attack was like. They saw it happen a lot, but anytime it would happen, it was more like them being like, whoa, like they're like, ooh, okay,
Taking a few steps
oh,
back.
yeah, yeah. They turned into like the honeymooners, like humana, you know, like, uh,
Yeah.
and, which that's fine. It is a lot to take in, and I think that while the anxiety attacks that I would be facing were all focused on my own things, I think they could sometimes come off as if I'm like putting it on someone else and not
Mm.
taking. I think that's how it came off, that I was like putting it all on this other person. I was like, no, there's just a lot,
There's too
and
much to carry sometimes, right?
yeah, exactly.
And it's like,
And
where do I put all this?
Yeah, exactly. And so I was really struggling, and she kept on telling me, like, you should maybe consider taking antidepressants. And I think I would get defensive even at the idea of that, because I was
Mhm.
in what she was saying was, hey, you seem to be struggling. Maybe there's these things that we could try together that might help you.
Right.
But the translation that I heard underneath all the anxiety attacks was, you want me to be a different person. Those pills are going to make me a different person. I like who I am, and how dare you, like,
Mm-hmm.
it's so because of my own past baggage with pills, and on top of that were anxiety attacks that are all irrational.
And
So,
that's the important point. Sorry to interrupt you, but just I want
no,
to,
please.
that's an important point about them being or feeling irrational.
Hmm.
And I'm not sure about you, but whenever I have an anxiety or a panic attack, I know it's irrational while it's happening.
Oh, isn't that the most frustrating part?
Oh, and it doesn't stop the silliness from flying out of your mouth, of course,
Yeah, of
right?
course.
So it's super difficult if you are trying to communicate, never mind a partner, but if you're
Mhm.
trying to communicate to people that really don't know, or they haven't had it to the extent that maybe we've had, it's really, really hard to do it justice in
Yeah,
the explanation or the description, right?
I've struggled trying to explain what it's really like
Mm-hmm.
to pretty much everyone that's experienced it. Uh,
So describe it to me. What's yours like?
oh, okay. I guess at its worst, I do feel like I turn into a different person a little bit. It's
Okay.
like, it's almost like, uh, well, like my a past partner of mine kind of referred to it as kind of like when the like a full moon and a werewolf came out kind of idea.
Good.
Which
That's a
which
good one.
honestly is it, I like the idea of it now, but in the moment I was like, oh, so I'm a monster. So,
Right. That's not
great.
positive.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, uh it there it I don't even know, like, I wish I could tell you exactly what
Mhm.
would be the thing that would trigger it every single time, because there's so many different things,
Yep.
and also there's so many different things depending on what's going on in my life at that time,
Yep.
so I can't be like, oh, it's whenever someone says this, it's whenever this, it's
Oh,
more
wouldn't that
complicated.
be great if we could,
Oh
if we had
yeah.
a checklist for
Yeah,
sure.
because as much as like there are like people can get triggered by things, and those are all legit.
Mhm.
It's not as it's more complicated than just like, don't say bananas because
Right.
I'm gonna go bananas, so it's way more complicated than that. I wish it was exactly, because then I could be like, so just don't say this, don't say this, don't say
Yeah.
this, we're gonna be fine,
We'll be
then
just,
I'll be
yeah.
Jekyll with no hide,
Like, don't talk about religion or politics or any, if we could have
yeah.
that same kind of,
For sure, yeah,
those
like that
parameters.
that family dinner mentality, yeah. But at the same time, I I I don't I'm kind of glad that we don't have those perimeters, because then that means that people can talk to me about anything, and just hope I don't turn into a werewolf, you know?
This is good. I'm filing this away for later so that when I see you and all this is over and I'm looking at you warily,
Yeah,
I'll
you'll be like,
know, like,
"Oh."
yeah, this could happen at any moment here. This is
Yeah,
exciting.
yeah.
So what
Uh,
kind of Dan am I going to get?
So, well, admittedly, so I am actually pretty good. A lot of people will think of me as an extrovert, but I'm very much an introverted
Mhm.
person. I can pass as like, I think it's because I've been a performer for so long. I can
Right.
perform when I'm in public. I can perform and be energetic and charismatic,
Mhm.
but I need to recharge my batteries alone.
Right.
Uh, if I'm at a party for a long time, I can have a lot of fun, but I will have more fun just staring at my computer like this,
Yeah. It's
like,
draining, right? It's
yeah,
really, it's
mhm,
like that. Extroverts are fueled by social interaction and introverts are drained by social interaction. And I
absolutely,
think
yeah,
that's what people don't understand. It's because I'm the same as you. It's not
hmm,
that we don't enjoy people
yeah,
at a cost.
yeah, exactly. So it just there comes to a point where I'm like, oh, I haven't been recharging my batteries as much as I need to lately.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why if you were to see me out and about, I don't usually have anxiety attacks out in public. Or if I do, I'm pretty good at managing them. And this is something that I think I still have work to do. Is my attacks come more as a one-on-one thing or alone.
Okay.
Uh,
Really? That's
mhm.
interesting to me. So if do you feel do you feel it coming on, or is it like a ton of bricks?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Depends. Again, it depends,
It
right? On
it
all those
depends,
things.
yeah. There are times where I can be like, I feel like something's gonna happen. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
but again, this is kind of more past because I've since I've taken these new pills.
Mm-hmm.
I've learned more and continuing through therapy and stuff. I've equipped myself with new tools that can help me. So my anxiety attacks, as time goes by, do get less and less. And, it dips. It's not linear, but like for the most part, I get better at handling them. Uh,
That's
uh,
awesome. I mean,
yeah.
that's all we can ask for is, the reality of is when you're dealing with anxiety, whether it's an anxiety disorder or you're just a person who's really stressed out, because let's face it, you don't have to have a diagnosis.
No, no.
But for a lot of us with anxiety is sort of a normal state of being, if you will. It's
Mhm.
really about learning how to make friends with it
Yeah.
so that
Yeah.
you don't piss it off too much because of it. If you
Mhm.
piss it off too much, then it's gonna take those car keys away. But I think it's
Yes.
about figuring out, okay, so I'm gonna make nice with you, negotiating with it a little bit. And
Mhm.
medication can help you do that. Therapy can help you do that. Articulating it with people can help you do that. I think it's kind of like speaking it out loud can take some of that power away, which is again why we have
Yeah.
these conversations.
Yeah. And it's interesting. You're talking about making friends with the anxiety or whatever. There's a book I read that really helped me in understanding my anxiety. It's called "First We Make the Beast Beautiful." Uh,
Ooh, I love that title.
yeah, yeah. First we
I'm
make the
writing
beast
that
beautiful.
down. I'm writing it down.
It's
Watch.
it. Yeah, please do. It's incredible. It's by Sarah Wilson. And it's a very digestible read because I am not the fastest reader either. But it's very easy to read. She writes it in a very beautiful way. Where like I whenever I buy a book at the bookstore, I always read the first chapter to see if I would be able
Yeah.
uh, to maintain this book. And it just, you eat it up so quickly. And she really does talk about how uh, I think a lot of people with no matter what it is, whether it's anxiety or any other kind of mental health disorder you may have, it's very easy, because I think a lot of us who struggle with that have kind of vilified it in a way,
Hmm.
because I think it's very common for people um, to push people away with it, not meaning to,
Hmm.
but it can push people away, and that's very hard. And therefore, you see it push people away so many times. You go, well, it's a beast. It's evil. It's a villain. It's the bad side of me.
Yeah.
Um,
And
but
I'm a
then if you're
burden because of it.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And no, that's not true. It's just
Nope.
you just haven't learned how to make the beast beautiful yet.
I just
And,
love that.
and
I'm gonna go right out and get that because I think the title says it all. But I think we have, and it sounds like you're doing that with medication and getting the tools and stuff. I think that we do have a certain amount of personal responsibility to
Mhm.
try to be as well as we can. And I say this
Oh,
as, you know,
absolutely.
I say this as a
Mhm.
person who has dealt with mental health issues for, the better part of 35 years. And it has not
Right,
been successful. It's not been a successful 35 years by any stretch of the
right.
imagination. But in the last few years, for me, it's been about, okay, so this is the reality that I'm living with. What am I doing or not doing that is either making this better or worse or neutral. And
Mm-hmm.
when I got my head in the game a little bit more, I think is when I started to manage it a little bit better, because you're really not as powerless as you think you are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
You know?
absolutely. And just going back, just to blow some smoke up your ass real quick.
Oh, I love that.
Uh, yeah, you said it hasn't been a successful 35 years. I think I gotta disagree with you on that, because
Okay.
you have written a book. You are a mother. You are a good partner. You have performed a one-person show. You've done so many things.
Oh,
With that part that you say is unsuccessful, that's led to a lot of success and led you to where you are right now, and I think that's pretty successful.
and that's why I asked you to talk to me today. This is
Yeah.
about making me feel better.
Have a good night, folks.
Yes, thank you, Dan Curtis Thompson, everyone. Yay!
Yeah,
Well,
but I
that's
think
very no. It's, and I think and back at you in the sense that um, maybe some of our successes are because of the struggle and not in spite of it.
yeah,
You
and
know?
but I mean, like, yeah, I agree with you to a point, but I think that's where it gets tricky into the tortured artist kind of mentality of like,
Okay.
oh, because of I was anxious is how why I created this, therefore I need to continue being anxious. Which no, it's cool that maybe your anxiety helped inspire that thing, but you getting better is just going to make your products better too.
So I was going to ask you, so now that you've sort of gotten more of a handle on it than perhaps you've had in the past, has it
Mhm.
changed your comedy?
It's hard to say because it's 2020 and comedy died, you know? So it's
Right, right. Fair enough. Have you written any new material though, or?
a little bit. I mean, I've been doing like some of the Zoom comedy shows and
Yeah.
stuff, but I've been mostly doing old material or riffing. But you know what? So yes, it has changed my comedy now that I think of it, because I used to be very scripted on stage. You know, I'd play a little bit within the parameters of my pre-written jokes, but since taking the pills and feeling better about myself, I'm able to have a lot more fun while doing it, and I can go completely off book. And I know that that's going to be there if I ever get lost or something. I can just jump back in, but I'm able to really have fun. So yes, maybe not in the writing point of view because I haven't been writing as much as I would want to be at this time, but that's okay because it's a
Yeah.
pandemic.
And
It
everybody's
either way,
messed
I'm
up.
having more fun,
Right.
and that it can only lead to better things.
I that's, it's really good to hear, because I think it's really an important point that I think people who don't do comedy, and I count myself among those people that watch comedians and marvel at how quick you are, but it must come from a point of unhappiness. It just must, like, you just must be tortured, or
Mhm.
you must,
Of
you,
course.
you must have this just horrible existence for our benefit to make us laugh.
Hmm.
And so it's
Yeah.
it's interesting to hear that, if you get to a good place, you can still turn out a good product, but more importantly,
Yeah.
you can have a better time delivering that product.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that you're probably right on the aspect of like they must have been tortured in some way. I think that uh not only comedians, but I think especially comedians, but not only comedians. I think a lot of performers in general do have some sort of trauma or
Mhm.
uh some kind of origin story that kind of fucked them up,
Yep.
uh and that sucks, but it's cool because it again that helped inspire them into becoming a performer and into becoming an artist, but so the torture maybe makes the artist, but the torture doesn't have to remain in the artist,
Ooh, that's very
I
deep.
think.
I think
Yeah,
no.
I think it is too. As it came out of my mouth, I was like, fuck
So
yeah,
I
baby.
should write that down too.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah.
And you need to make a motivational tape now. Absolutely.
Oh, okay. Great. More work.
Yeah, more work for you.
No, but
Well,
you're
you're
right.
not doing anything else.
That's true. That's true. Uh, no, it's
So
so yeah. I think.
go
Sorry.
ahead. No, go ahead. Keep going.
I was just gonna say that. No, it's gone. It's gone
Oh,
forever.
see, That's the
It,
medication.
it was a moment in time, but I don't want that moment anymore because this is not that moment.
It's what happens when you take pills.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. These pills, I got them. They're called MDMA. Is that? Yeah.
Well, whatever works, whatever works.
Yeah.
So how have you found, so now we're obviously talking about this stuff fairly openly. Do you find that now that you are feeling a little better, or maybe when you weren't feeling better, were you fairly open talking about
Yeah.
your mental health?
Yeah. And I think I've always been pretty open about talking about my mental health. And I think I think I'd probably attribute that a lot to my dad. I think that he's very open about his feelings, which is nice to have a male figure in my life
Mm-hmm.
that is open about his feelings.
Right.
So that's great, and I'm glad about that. But the thing that gets a little bit trying on people that I've personally experienced is in my anxiety attacks. Uh, they would happen over and over, and I would try to explain uh, the state of my mental health to the person that I may be pushing away with my mental health,
Mm-hmm.
and I think after a while of hearing about it, they're like, yeah, great. So what are you going to do about it? Which I do understand, but at the same time, I'm like, I wish I knew, and I think that's where it gets to be such a trap is you're like, I wish I had answers. I believe me, I want the answers as much as you do, maybe more, because you get to go back to your apartment and have time off,
Right. I've often thought that when, I've been off work now for 4 years, and I
Mhm.
probably won't ever go back, at least to what I was doing before. And I'm fairly open about that, but there is stigma attached to that, just like there's
Right.
stigma with any sort of mental health. And there is that must be nice mentality. Well, must be
Mhm.
nice to not have to do
Yeah.
anything. Must be nice. And I often think, trade brains with me for a little bit, and
Yeah. You'll
we'll
see how
see,
nice it is.
and that's where that,
Yeah.
it's invisible and people can't really see it, but you just kind of, not that you wish it on people, but it's like, if you really had a taste of this, you would see how much of a struggle it can be for people,
Yeah.
you know?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I think
Um,
we should just wish it on everybody. And
yeah. If I just want everyone to have just one day, just one
just
day.
one day to feel like hell, and then come back, report back
Yeah.
to Dan and
Yeah.
I.
Give me an essay. Yeah.
1,000 words.
That's,
Quick, let's do it.
yeah, I'd say. Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah.
now all we need to do is figure out a way to poison the public mentally for a day.
It sounds like something the Joker would do. Like, I think we could get
Yeah.
that sort of, hire a blimp and then just put like some sort of
Just like,
noxious gas on people just for 24
yeah,
hours.
of course.
Okay,
Just a good old 24-hour gas. Everyone knows scientists who are working on something like that.
right, forget about the COVID vaccine. Let's focus on
Yeah.
this.
Who cares about that? Let's figure out how to make people worse.
I agree. So listen, sorry, that's funny. So before we wrap up here, this conversation,
Oh yeah, it's been half an hour already. Wow, that flew.
I know, see, we could keep going.
Yeah.
But what I want to
Mhm.
know is, what is a pearl of wisdom? What is something that you've learned, or something that you would want people viewing this to take away?
Mm. Uh, Immediately, my first thought is, um, and I don't know if this is particularly aimed towards men or not, and the
Okay.
way that we're raised. And what I mean by that is, I think dudes are kind of raised to be like, don't feel your feelings, and then when you have a partner, put it all on them,
Right.
which is not fair to that person. And a house built on one pillar can't stand,
Right.
so so that is going to be linked to what I'm about to say, but it doesn't have to be exclusive to men. It's just, if you're feeling like you're overwhelmed, uh, reach out to a few different people. Don't try to just have your one person that you can keep
Mm,
going. Not just because you want to not burden one person. It's not about burden. It's about spreading it out so that you have a lot of pillars in your life to help hold you up. Because one pillar is going to eventually snap, and that's going to make both you and them feel worse. So if you can kind of spread out that love, and I do say love
yeah.
specifically because opening up and sharing your mental health is a form of love, even if it's hard.
I think that's beautiful. I think that's a really eloquent way to put it, because I think for so many people who are struggling, there is that sense of, if I share too much, I become a burden. And if you
Mhm.
flip that script a little bit, like
I've
you say,
felt that way a lot. Yeah.
right. And you're definitely not alone. So I think
Hmm.
when you do flip the script a little bit and say, look, I'm sharing this because I care and because I want to strengthen my support, right? Because
Hmm. Yeah.
that's critical. And I think I said this in an episode or two before. So for anybody watching this, or I'm repeating myself, too bad, because I think it's there are going to be people in your life that won't be your support, and that's
Hmm.
okay.
Yeah.
So it's
That's
about,
absolutely okay.
right? So there are people that you may share with, and they do take a big step back.
Hmm. Yeah.
And try not to get upset about that. Try to go to the next person,
Yeah.
and you
That's
will
and
find your support.
and I think that's one of the reasons why I say kind of spread it out a little bit
Yep.
more, is because if you do put it all on one person, and that person happens to be the one that goes, I'm sorry, I gotta take a step back, then you're like, I've lost the only
Yep.
thing I have, and that's I think that can be a bit dangerous
Yeah.
for your own well-being, so because if you spread it out to 8 people, for instance,
Yep.
and one of them steps back, you're like, well, at least I have my other 7
Yep.
that I can talk to about this thing that I just lost.
And somebody else could step into that place. I mean, support
Exactly.
comes in all, all places, and
Yeah.
sometimes it comes in the least, the places
Mhm.
you least expect. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
right.
But
Well,
in terms of again, this is for everybody, but I think in terms of the other men thing, I think it's important for us to talk to other men about it too,
mhm.
because that's something we are not really taught to do. But oh, trust me, they're feeling a lot of the things you're feeling too, and it's gonna feel really good to talk to them.
That's a great message. That's a great message to leave it at,
Yeah.
because I do think there's stigma attached to that as well. So
Yeah.
for the men watching or listening, it's okay. It's
Hmm.
okay to share.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Absolutely.
all right, Dan. Well, it was so good to see you. And
It's so good to
I
see you
can't wait
too.
to see you in person again when this is all
I
over.
know. I know you'll be howling at me.
I will be howling. I'll be watching to see if you're sprouting hair.
Oh, that's never gonna happen.
Well, if it does happen, then I know what's around the corner.
That's true. Puberty. Yeah.
Oh, take care.
Bye.
Bye. That was Dan Curtis Thompson, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. Sorry about the technical difficulties in the beginning. This is still the learning curve for me. I'm probably going to use that excuse probably for all of these. So maybe I'll never get great at it, but hey, I'm trying. So thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and be well.